I've recently invested nearly $20,000 into SCHD, but why did I choose this ETF? SCHD has been one of the top performing ETFs in recent years, and I've been adding it to my portfolio daily. It's been all over headlines and stock market news because of its price appreciation as well as the regular dividend increases. Today, we'll break down SCHD's current price, we'll dive into the dividends, and I'll show you my daily investing strategy as well as how I think SCHD will perform in the near future. So SCHD has really taken the market by storm in recent years, and they are making tons of headlines throughout social media. This comes from their recent price performance. If we take a look at a few timescales here, in the last 5 years, SCHD has returned around 55%, but if we look at a more recent time period like the year-to-date performance, they're actually down about 5%. But this could actually be a good thing for new investors. If we take a look at the dividend yield history for SCHD, you can see that they usually sit around 3.5%, but with the recent market price, new investors can get a yield closer to 4.5%. So that short-term price fall isn't exactly a bad thing. Now let's stick some numbers to that dividend yield. If we take a look at the dividend payout history, it's no secret that SCHD has a strong track record of increasing dividends. This goes all the way back to when they were first brought onto the market around 2012, and since then they have increased the annual dividend by about 10% per year. But you might ask, in 2025, can SCHD keep these consistent dividend increases even with the ongoing trade wars? Well, let's have a closer look at their current holdings. SCHD is currently weighted as 21% in the energy sector, 19% in consumer staples, and 15% in healthcare. This is a pretty defensive allocation overall, which might hold up a bit better during uncertain markets. There's a few examples of the tariff impacts in 2025. Nvidia, they are down almost 20% this year. AMD, they are also down nearly 20% this year. And Apple, they are down a little over 10%. Now, the good news for SCHD is that they have a technology weighting of only 7%. And if we dive a little deeper into the individual holdings, we don't actually see any of these tech giants in the top 10. We see companies like Coca-Cola, Verizon, and ConocoPhillips. So since these holdings are in a more defensive sector, investors have been a little more optimistic with SCHD. Now, my investing strategy into SCHD is a little different than most people. You see, I'm doing a daily dollar cost averaging strategy. It's a bit unconventional, but if you've been following the channel for a bit, you may know that I had some pretty significant losses early into investing during the 2020-2021 market crash, and since then, I've tried to focus on dollar cost averaging a little more. For that reason, I actually buy $15 every single day of SCHD. Now, I have over 700 shares, and I have to admit, I have made a couple of lump sum purchases along the way on top of my daily orders, which has also increased my position. Now, before I show you my dollar cost basis, if you are holding SCHD, feel free to take a moment and show off how many shares you got in the comments below. I'm pretty curious how many other people have been holding, especially in these current market conditions. Here's my position. I have around 725 shares. My dollar cost basis is around $27.50, which means I spent almost $20,000 on these shares. Now, unfortunately for me, SCHD is trading around $26 per share, which makes my position down about 6% or $1,200. I am looking at SCHD on more of a long-term mindset, so selling isn't really a part of my plan at this time, so I'm just being patient and sticking it out. Now, since I have been holding SCHD for several months now, I wanted to show you the dividends I've accumulated. So my first ever dividend was just 27 cents back in September 2024, and in December it rose to $83, and most recently it was about $125. Now, also consider that I've been actively increasing my shares during this time, so most of the increase you've seen on the dividends is because I've been buying more shares. But I also use the drip feature, which means all my dividends go back into SCHD to create that dividend snowball effect. So my dividends don't cancel out the losses on the shares just yet, but hopefully in the long term that changes. Now the next question that always comes up is the future of SCHD. If we look at some analyst ratings, there's 101 ratings for the 12-month performance, and the highest price was around $35.92 per share, with an average around $29.92 per share. This is actually about 16% higher than SCHD's current price. Now, I'm pretty optimistic about SCHD, but let's use a tool called Drip Calc to forecast my investment and see how it could grow over the next 30 or even 40 years. Using this tool, if I just type SCHD in, it will populate the current dividend growth rate and the share price growth. Just for this forecast, I'll even assume that I just have my current portfolio of $18,000. Using these numbers, the end balance would be about $890,000 with an annual dividend of about $84,000 after 30 years of this investment. And if I could make it to the 40-year mark, it looks like compounding would grow significantly higher with an end balance around $5.9 million and an annual dividend around $790,000. Now, this sounds incredible, but remember, this calculator is assuming that the historical growth rate and share price growth will continue for the next 40 years, but no one actually knows what's going to happen in the future. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to check out the channel. I've linked a couple of videos now on screen that I think you might find interesting. Thanks for watching.